What does it take if someone's like, they want to go from average results to savage results? They want to go from, what they're making in a year, they want to make it in a month. They want to take that full-time income, turn it into a monthly income.
I really believe it comes down to two main things. And almost everything else falls somewhere underneath these two main things: pipeline and perspective. Network marketing isn't magical or mystical. It's not. Now, it's the lowest risk, lowest overhead way for the average ordinary person to start a business. It's the lowest risk way to create, an unlimited possibility of passive income, right? It's not the only way. However, it's still not magical or mystical. It's going to come down to how many people, here's pipeline. How many people are you talking to? How many people are you following up with? How many appointments are you setting? How many presentations are you getting people on? How many? It's the how many. So when I was in mortgages, way back when, I had a pipeline. I had a whiteboard, and it had the last name of every family I was working with and where they were at in the process. Some were in underwriting, some I was waiting on an appraisal, some I needed documentation, some needed credit repair. Right there, that was my pipeline. I knew where people were. I knew how many people I had in my pipeline. And if that pipeline started shrinking, I'm like, dang, I better get out there and start hustling. And maybe a question is, okay, well, how do you fill that pipeline? And there's two main methods. That's prospecting and marketing. So when I was just getting serious about network marketing, I didn't have a big brand. I didn't have a big following, didn't have a big email list. I was out there mainly prospecting. Now, I saw my future self, and I saw a day where people would reach out to me. But in the meantime, no one was. And I think sometimes people can hear, attraction marketing, and they're like, yeah, man, that sounds way better than what I'm doing. And I absolutely suggest you, and I also prefer people reaching out to me, but that's not what was happening in the beginning. So in the beginning, I had to reach out to other people. And so I'm prospecting, that's active. But in the meantime, I started putting out videos and just hoping and praying someone somewhere will eventually see those videos and reach out to me. And so one's prospecting, one's marketing. Nowadays, your marketing is so much easier than it used to be. When I was just started building, there was no live video. We wouldn't be doing this. There was no Reels, there was no TikTok. You uploaded a video and you just hope for the best. And most of the times it didn't work very well. But by doing that, I just kept going and got to a point where I was generating over 3,000 leads a month without ads. Now with Instagram Reels, TikTok, and things like that, I'm sure there are people on here, doing that. But back then that was, pretty impressive. Not many people were doing that. But pipeline, at the end of the day, ask yourself this question. How many people last week did I ask if they were open to my product or opportunity? Either one. And if that answer is single digits, you're not on the path to be a top earner. Now, that doesn't mean you won't make money. You can, right? You might, you very well could, but you're just not on the path to be a top earner. And I think that's the topic of today, is how to create full-time income. Yeah. And so that pipeline is very, very critical.
I was a mortgage banker, same thing. They said, you make 100 calls a day, you'll make six figures. Same mindset here. If you want to build a full-time income, you have to have more conversations. We're professional conversation starters. Yeah. That's what we do. It drives me crazy when I hear people say, I don't want to cold message people. And I'm like, can you explain what you mean by that? And they're like, well, I don't want to message, people about my business or products. I'm like, people that like they know you exist. Like, yeah, like that's not a cold message. Like, why would you be friends with someone if you're not allowed to talk to them about your thing? Like, you got it twisted. You're being selfish. You're being stingy, as Nadya would say, with your goodness. And the truth of the matter is, if someone didn't reach out to me, if someone didn't reach out to you, if they would have prejudged us, we might not be in this profession today. We most certainly wouldn't have gotten in when we got in. It might have been years later. And I can't tell you how many times I meet people and they're like, I wish I would have gotten started at 20 years old like you did. And I'm like, well, hey, it's better late than never. Right? Better late than never. But the truth is, there's so many people out there that are hungry, that are open, that are looking, especially right now. We've had a lot of realtors and real estate professionals join us just this month because they see the writing on the wall. And guess when I went full time? 2008 when things
Yeah.
crashed.
Yeah.
I mean, this is prime.
2009.
There you go, prime time. So I love this conversation, but of course, there's the imposter syndrome. And I love how you explain imposter syndrome. Maybe you could talk about that, Ray, and talk about, because we all know the reason they're not reaching out to 10, 20, 30 people a day, they're not popping the question and they're in the friend zone waiting for that perfect time to pounce on them, is because of mindset, stinking thinking.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that a little bit? Because you're the best at explaining this.
Thank you. So imposter, first of all, I know what people think imposter syndrome is, or that I'm, I feel like an imposter. Imposter isn't, I'm reaching out to someone or I'm making videos before I have success, right? Now, if you're just lying, I mean, okay, then that's being an imposter. If you're saying, hey, $1 million earner over here, and you're not at all, then okay, that's just lying. But you doing videos that you're, excited about, or talking about the company or the product, or just what you're excited about, you reaching out to people to see if they're open, that's not being an imposter. An imposter is someone who says they want to make a difference and says they want to impact other people, but they're not willing to face their fears to do so. That's what an imposter is. So if you're like, I really want to help people, but I don't want to reach out until I have success, well, that makes no sense, right? How are you going to have success if you don't reach out to people? And that's exactly why I preach pipeline so much, because it isn't magical or mystical. So if someone says, oh, a lot of people, they don't succeed in network marketing, that join a small percentage. And it's like, well, that's true of anything performance-based. My good friend, Tim Sales, he broke down the numbers. He's just a, numbers nerd. And he broke down the numbers. Every year, 700,000 people purchase the exam material to be a realtor. Now, just so you know, you don't buy the exam material to be a realtor just to learn something. You buy it because you plan on getting the license, and you get the license because you plan on making money, right? No one's, let me buy up the CPA exam. I would buy a book on accounting maybe, but I wouldn't buy the CPA exam book if I'm trying to learn accounting. That makes no sense. I would buy an accounting book, Accounting for Dummies or whatever. And so 700,000 people pull money out of their pocket. They purchase the realtor exam book, the realtor exam materials. Of those, about 115,000 ever even take the exam. And of those, 50,000 actually pass the exam, with around 30,000 that ever make any money. So out of 700,000, 670,000 people spent more money than they made. No one thinks that that's a scam. Why? Because they know that it's work. It's you doing open houses. It's you doing showings. It's you getting listings. It's you talking to people. It's a tangible thing that's very easy to understand. The realtor that goes out there and makes 100 calls a day makes money. I mean, even if you're terrible tripping over your shoes, like, you're going to make some money. But if you don't do any of that, if you hide your business cards and your signs in your garage, then you ain't gonna make any money. No one's picketing or anti-realtor, tribes out there that are targeting accounts, right? No one's doing that. But it's a lower percentage of people that make some kind of money. 670,000 out of 700,000 don't make money, and they spent money to get there. But no one's targeting that. The reason they target network marketing is because network marketers, a lot of them, are allowing there to be mystique and mystery around how to make money in network marketing. It's not magical or mystical. It's say less to more people. It's talk to more people. It's be consistent, treat it like a business. So imposter syndrome means you're saying you want to make a difference, you want to help people, you want to do big things, but you're not willing to face your fears. You're not willing to possibly look stupid. And that's a gift of mine. I've been willing to look stupid over the years, whether it was going from real estate to network marketing, whether it was ballroom dancing, whether it was meditation, right? I've been willing to look stupid. And that's where your growth is. And so the other big piece of this is, we talked a lot about pipeline, and you should be able to look at your pipeline and answer the question, should I be successful? Based on my pipeline, how many people I'm reaching out to, following up with, et cetera, should I be successful or not? And if those answer, and if you look at your pipeline and there's cobwebs and there's, one or two people in there that you didn't even follow up with, and you're making what you should, right? And you just embrace that, because you can do something about it. You can do something about it. And so the second big piece is perspective. Where do you spend the majority of your time in your mind? And, I used to think that you could outwork your perspective. And I've just been proven wrong so many times. I know so many people that they're reaching out, they're doing the pipeline, they're reaching out to 30, 40, 50 people a day, but their mindset is so negative. And we're, no matter positive or negative, we are always going to verify what we believe to be true. Okay. We're always going to verify that. And so I've seen people have an inability to outwork their mindset. So even now, most people with a bad mindset don't do the work, but there are some that do. But if they have a bad mindset and they're constantly proving that making money is hard, they're constantly proving that they're not worthy, they're constantly proving that, they're just not meant for success, then they will prove that to be true, even if they're doing the sit-ups, even if they're doing the push-ups, even if they're doing fill in the blank.
Wow.
And so perspective is, you should be able to answer the question. Don't just ask, what if my monthly income, what if my annual income became my monthly? Say, okay, what would I do if that was the case? Right? What would I do? And if you ask most people that, they'll do two things. There'll be two reactions. Hey, what if you take last year's income and you made it next month? What would you do with that? How would that work? First of all, they'll kind of be like, they haven't thought about it. Right. And the key to all success is seeing yourself as the person before you're the person, seeing circumstances the way you wish them to be before they are. Right. It's Walt Disney seeing all those empty parcels in Florida, the swampland, but him seeing Walt Disney World. Right. That's the key to all major success, is the ability to see things before they are. And so if you ask them, they're like, they haven't thought about it. They haven't seen it because it's not real for them. And then the next thing they'll say, the second thing they'll do is they're like, I give charity. It's like, okay, great. That's awesome. But maybe think it through a little bit more, right? I want you to give to charity, give to your favorite causes, give back. That's where most people arrive. Most people, when they start making money, they realize that it's not feeding them enough, their soul. So they start giving back. They start giving to things that add a different dimension to them. I know we did. But think that through. What would it actually look like? If you have kids and all of a sudden your annual became your monthly, would you hire tutors? Would they be in private school, right? Or would you focus on experiences? Would maybe you get some behind the scenes action with an astronaut, or, what would that look like? So really thinking that out, what would that look like? If you want to go full time, okay, where are you going to have breakfast on Tuesdays? What is the vision? What will it look like? How will it feel? How will you know it's true? All of those things that should be dominating your thoughts much more than noticing the missteps, noticing the problems, noticing what you don't have.
I love that so much.
There for a little bit.
No, that was amazing. That was fantastic. And I want to show people an example of what that looks like, the pipeline, what I have. I have literally a book called Fortune is in the Follow-Up. But before that, I want to be clear. I get more rejection than what I'm about to show you, but it's also about the approach, number one. Number two, I only keep track of people that I ATM, people that I add to my group. I tag them in a video, like actual prospects. I take them from a lead to a prospect. If they say, no, I don't want to look at anything. No, I'm not open right now. No, I'm good. I don't put them in my follow-up book because there's nothing to follow up with them about. Now I'm just going to continue to nurture that relationship. Maybe the timing will be better later on. But there's 20 people per page.
So just to jump in there. So at your level, that makes sense.
Yes.
At some people's level, then they need to jot down the people that said no and come back to them.
Yes. And actually, I set a reminder in my phone to follow up with people if they tell me, especially if they tell me, I did this in mortgages, just like you probably did the same thing. You have your CRM and they would say, call me back in 6 months, call me back in a year. And literally it'd be 6 months to the day. It comes up in my daily, like, people to contact, and absolutely I would contact them. And they were always shocked by that. And guess who they're going to do business with?
That's
the person that stayed in touch with them,
that
always reached out and wasn't pressuring them. So important. But when it comes to the actual follow-up book, because it's the people that actually ATM, I really want to be on top of those people. But 100%, you have to have ways to stay in touch with the no's, because the truth is the no's are just no, not now. No, not yet. Timing isn't right. But if you actually look at this, so it's 20 per page. So I was just going through this because this is a new follow-up book. I have years of follow-up books. Years. So people will be like, what CRM, what tool do you use? I actually don't use anything like that. Now I do have Project Broadcast for my customers. I have an email list, which is totally separate. That's for our brand. So if you're using a CRM or you're using some type of database, I think that's awesome. I know some people are a little more methodical with those things, but I still am old school. I got a planner and I got a follow-up book. But 7 out of 20 on this page, 7 out of 20 on the next page, 10 out of 20, 5 out of 20, 6 out of 20, and then this page I'm not done with yet. Now you might say, that's a really high percentage. Yes, it is. But also understand that even if it was 1 out of 20 or 0 out of 20, which is what it used to be, it's not even about the amount that I sign up. It's just knowing that a ratio will appear over time. Over time, you will figure out what's your close ratio, and then you can improve upon that. But like Ray said, if you don't have a pipeline of people you're working on, if you don't have people you're talking to, you can't produce the results.